everybody can hear me properly. I forgot to do a sound check, and I noticed that I still had to enable the software for the switcher, but all should be good now, audio technically. Is everybody hearing me properly? Guys, is the audio working? Alright, I think now we should have audio and voiceover. Can somebody confirm that you guys are hearing me right? Is the voiceover working? Loud and clear. Okay. Well, guys, thanks for your patience. It took a little longer than expected to go live. I had hoped that the rain that was passing over would taper and get less intensive, but in fact it did intensify a little bit. We should be good now for the upcoming hours. Just to show you quickly, this just passed over, but we should be good for the next couple of hours. This is what the current runway situation is like. We have parallel arrivals on Polderbaan, where we are standing, and on center departures take place from Kaagbaan and from Aalsmeerbaan for the time being. The weather, broken clouds at 1,600 feet, few clouds at 500 feet. We have wind that is blowing from the southwest, variable between southeast and southwest, and before the A380 that is expected to arrive around 1:07 p.m. local time is 1747 from Atlas Air, and we are also expecting, and that is going to be around 12:30, Air China Cargo. So between 12 and 1, 3 heavies. We have more 747s underway, but they are expected to arrive later. Even this one is expected an hour after the A380 has landed. The plan is to stick around until the A380 has landed. So it's going to be a shorter stream than normal, unfortunately. But let's go. It is nice weather for now. This just passed, but this is what it looks like on the other side. Much more open, as you guys can see. Shouldn't be expecting any more rain for the upcoming hours at least. Triple from Qatar arriving from Doha going to center, but we got a triple coming this way, arriving from Aquadilla, Emirates Sky Cargo. Of course, with the precipitation of just now, conditions for spray development are quite optimal. So if they are going to use the reversers, we might be in for a treat. It is also still a bit windy, so let's also enable image stabilizer just to give a bit better picture. Emirates Sky Cargo arriving from Aguadilla, flight 9914. Good morning to everybody who is already tuned in. A lot of you already present. Hope everybody is doing well. Now, the beets have been harvested over here. They are laying around, ready to be picked up. And earlier in the field adjacent to the cycling path there were also, I think, hunters or something, but they've gone in the meantime. Nice dramatic backdrop of the area of rain that has just passed by. EasyJet arriving from London Luton, A320, flight time 43 minutes, 5-year-old airplane, first flight August 2018. Right, EasyJet has vacated via a later exit. Now, we did have good visibility before the rain came. I think it's going to be a little while before we are going to see the glide slope again. It's going to be one airplane at a time for the time being. This is KLM flight 1724, Embraer 190 arriving from Brussels. This airplane is underway now for 28 minutes. It does seem to be having some issues with wind, having to correct. But that's only fun for us, more fun. This airplane is 5 years old. Had its first flight in February 2018. It's going to be followed by a Boeing 737-700 arriving from Birmingham from KLM. Is that going to be the first butt shot of the day? I think it is. Indeed, it is the first butt shot of the day. little bit more to the left. There you go. You can see the reflection of the lines on the tarmac. And there is K4. Morgen! Right. John, first of all, good morning, and second of all, a big thank you for your super sticker, my buddy Shiba Dog saying, hey you, greeting joyfully. Good morning, John, and good morning to you all. Hope everybody is doing all right. The 737-700 arriving from Birmingham. Still busy over here with tractors back and forth. Obviously the sugar beets need to be transported, and maybe they're also doing other agricultural stuff. Undoubtedly they do. And Marissa celebrates 6 months of membership and 5 days and counting. Thank you so much for your continued support, Marissa, and a very, very big congratulations. Hopefully many more months to come. Right, next up is Transavia 737-800. Arriving from Nice, which is nice. Flight 5582. Flight time has been 1 hour and 32 minutes thus far, and the airplane is 16 years old. First flight was in April 2007. So much potential to generate spray and so little use is made of it. Bit of a shame. Looks like the next airplane has even more potential to do so. An A330 arriving from Bonaire, KLM flight 767. Here's an indication of the current wind. And we've got more traffic, heavy duty traffic coming this way. They've been driving up and down the cycling path all morning, even through the rain. I was sitting here, had my umbrellas covering my utility cart, which I had my camera in, covered by backpacks, so it stayed perfectly dry, and another umbrella to cover the laptop tent and power station. Was set on the ground in the grass, waiting it out. Beautiful clouds. And is that the PH-GOV? Is that the government plane? It looks like it. It's it, isn't it? Or no, pretty sure that that is the PH-GOV, our government plane. Or am I mistaken? Nah, it's it. That's it. It's the Dutch government plane, the successor of the Fokker that we used to have, the PH-GOV. So government officials returning to the Netherlands. Not sure who's on board and if it is the king who is flying it. Returning from South Africa? Well, that was a lucky bonus. Wasn't visible on flight radar, but the next airplane is, and it is also already visible. KLM flight 767, Airbus A380-300 arriving from Bonaire. Flight time at the moment nearly 9 hours, 8 hours and 57 minutes to be precise. The airplane is 11 years old, first flight February 2012. At the moment still the only airplane visible. More is coming. We also have Air Canada flight 808 coming, 777. Another airplane with big potential to generate lots of spray. Following this A330 should be an Embraer 190 from KLM arriving from Dublin, which is still a bit further to the north. I'm not seeing it yet visually, although by the looks of it, it won't be long before we are going to see multiple airplanes all at once. It is opening up, relatively speaking, because looking behind me, it is still mostly overcast. And Han is saying that the PH-GOV did indeed come from South Africa, so might actually have been the king on behind the steering wheel then. Second time we see the PH-GOV in one of the live streams. The other time I think was back in February. I did have a look as it did came up in one of the recent streams. I think it was back in February. Come on, use those reversers. Such a waste. Such a waste of good spray. And I did read about, no, it was on our sports news, John. The MotoGP races being one day earlier due to bad weather on Sunday over there down under. I thought you guys were headed into summer season, but seems like you guys are having some shitty weather as well. The Embraer 190 coming this way, but it's a bit of a shame to use a close-up shot when you have such beautiful cloud formations overall. Now, for those of you just tuning in, what you're seeing is weather that has already passed, hence the delay in the stream. Had to weather it out. The weather is actually coming from the other side, and even though it is overcast, no more rain should be expected in the upcoming 2 hours, 3 hours, at least until the Emirates A388 has landed. Now, you're probably hearing it already on the mic, and you can see it in the water. It is a bit windy, mostly headwind for the plane's landing. Visualization over there, the chimney smoke. Parallel landings in progress. That is an Austrian A320 arriving from Vienna. Meanwhile, I do see the 777 already. Number 2. Now, I think that makes for a nice thumbnail. Clickety click, make a little photo of this. Indeed, Jerry, the fuckers used to fly fuckers. And thank you so much, Jer, for your super chat. Very much appreciated. Hope all is well over there in Portland. Yeah. And many of you have probably heard of this clothing retailer from the Netherlands, Suit Supply. It has branches over the world right now. Started out in the Netherlands, but they have expanded into the rest of Europe, to the United States, and I wouldn't be surprised if they even have some branches in Asia or in Australia. Now the founder of Suit Supply is called Fokke de Jong, or if you say it a little bit in English, Fokke de Jong. So yeah, also a very lucky name when you go abroad. What's your name? My name is Fokke de Jong. Alright, coming up next, Air Canada Flight 808, arriving from Toronto, Canada. Flight time 6 hours and 25 minutes as we speak. And even with image stabilizer enabled, you still have to fixate the tripod because otherwise the vibrations get too severe. Flight time 6 hours 25 minutes. 777-200 long range, 15 years old, first flight November 2007. We can also see the next plane behind it already. Embraer 175 arriving from Manchester, KLM. Now, fingers crossed, let's hope for some spray. Of course, the triple also has great potential. As it was raining, I was seeing the landing of one of the Chinese cargo carriers, and man, did it produce spray when it applied the reversers. So far, spray production has been somewhat disappointing. You can even see some openings in the sky further out. This is looking to the southeast, and this is looking more to the south. I think, dare I say it, we might even get some sunshine later in the day. Alright, next up, Embraer 175 arriving from Manchester, KLM flight 1072. 50 minutes of flight time. And a beautiful glide slope shot. It is opening up in terms of visibility to the north. Right, arriving from Manchester, 50 minutes of flight time, 5 years old, first flight April 2018. Behind it, another Embraer, but an Embraer 190 arriving from London City. Got another 777 coming in from Toronto from KLM flight 696. Looks like it's going to be number 4 for arrival. And number 3 already visible faintly. Another Embraer 175 arriving from Southampton. But first, this Embraer 175 arriving from Manchester. Butt shot coming in. Yeah, it's a bit windy. Alrighty, up next, Embraer 190 arriving from London City, KLM flight 988, flight time 40 minutes. And numbers 2 and 3 already visible. Number 2, Embraer 175 arriving from Southampton. Number 3 is the 777-200 arriving from Toronto. KLM butt shots coming in. All right. And good morning one and all. If you just tuned in, welcome to the show. The dark clouds you're seeing in the background have already passed. Wind is blowing from the other direction. Stream again a bit later today because the rain unfortunately intensified instead of petered out. That's the right term, right? Polderbaan being used for arrivals together with the center runway for the time being. We're expecting the Emirates A380 at the standard time of arrival, approximately 1:15. Shortly before it will be a 747, and half an hour before those two airplanes another 747 is expected. So between 12 and 1:30, two 747s and the A380. That is excluding any 747s that might take off from nearby airfields in the meantime that have not yet been airborne, that aren't yet airborne. Now, situation in the water is all quiet. Haven't seen any birds so far. Also no birds on the lanterns thus far. Seems that Russell is sleeping in. Bird controllers we have seen already. And this Approaching airplane is KLM flight 696 arriving from Toronto, Canada. Boeing 777-200 ER, flight time 6 hours 41 minutes as we speak, and the airplane is 20 years old already. Just celebrated its 20th birthday last month in September. Now, knowing KLM pilots, don't expect big amounts of spray from this airplane. Assuming that there is still spray to be produced, because with the current wind and not very low temperatures, I think a lot has evaporated already. Although there's still some. Right, so there is some light in at the end of the tunnel, but in the distance the southern horizon does look brighter than the rest of the sky over here does. Although looking to the northeast it also looks a little bit more light than elsewhere, but overall mostly overcast still. Looks like we'll have to wait a few seconds for the next airplane to become visible. In the meantime, more Embraers flying in. This is an Embraer 190 arriving from Luxembourg, and another Embraer 190 arriving from Stuttgart is behind it. And our next airplane to this runway is also going to be an Embraer 190, followed by an EasyJet A319. So a lot of narrow bodies at the moment. I do see another heavy coming this way, a 777 arriving from Curaçao. Still over the North Sea, making its way over to the mainland and relatively far up north in the vicinity of Alkmaar. So it's going to take a few more minutes before it's going to become visible over here. Now the firefighters already did their round. I think they've already parked their cars back in the station. Yes, they have. And well, except people over here, no, I think there were hunters in the field earlier this morning. A peloton of cyclists also coming this way.
Close up! Used to make sure
Get out of the way. It is getting a little bit more crowded over here. You can also see some folks in the background at the fence of the parking lot of the Polderbaan itself. Right, Embraer 190 arriving from Newcastle, flight 954, flight time 59 minutes. The airplane 14 years old, first flight June 2009. Alright, visualization of the glide slope. 2 airplanes visible at the moment. In the foreground, Embraer Airbus A319 arriving from London Luton, and behind it is an Embraer 190 arriving from Norwich. And number 3, but still very far out to the north, is the 777 arriving from Curaçao. So this A319 is arriving from London Luton. Flight time has been 45 minutes. The airplane is 16 years old. First flight, May 2007. Alright, Mitchell, good morning. Asking, how are we doing, everyone? Thanks for the super chat, Mitchell, but I thought we agreed on you being done with donating super chats and whatnot for an entire year. So, I'm doing well. Bit of cold hands though, but that's because of the wind mostly. And handling some bottles and stuff that has become a little bit wet due to the rain earlier this morning. Embraer 190 arriving from Norwich. KLM flight 1516. Flight time 41 minutes, now touching down. This airplane is 9 years old. And looks like it's not using the reversers at all. Nice squeak on the brakes there. And the butt shot is coming in. Right, let's turn around, see what the 777-300ER arriving from Curaçao will do in terms of spray production. KLM flight 736, about to land after 8 hours and 31 minutes of flight time as we speak. The airplane is 7 years old, first flight was in May 2016. And further up should be an Embraer Boeing 737-900 arriving from Edinburgh, but oh yeah, in the far left, same altitude, visually a little bit higher now as the 777. minor speck on the horizon, but that will soon change. Heavy traffic passing by. Now, look at this. I spy with my little eye a little bit of blue sky. And that light at the end of the tunnel, at the end of the horizon, does seem to be getting closer by a little bit. Albeit slowly, but that's okay. Okay, further up north, according to flight radar, a Delta A330 is entering the glide slope from the left, from the west. I was hoping maybe we could catch it, but it looks like it is still obscured by the clouds that are in between. So now the A330 has become visible. Nice glide slope shot. And that is not chewing gum, Frank. Those were ibuprofen and paracetamol, just to make sure that the slight thing I'm feeling in my head is not continuing to a full-blown headache. Well, Jerry, thank you so much for a very generous super chat saying glide slope shots, butt shots, government jet, birth controller, heavy equipment, portable toilet, cycle pod, Fokke de Jong when she is young. I am happy, like and donate all. Words to live by. Thank you so much once again, Jerry. I'm glad you are having fun. Hope everybody is. If you like what you see, make sure to drop the like, and if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel and hit the bell icon so that you get updates whenever I go live again in the future. Weather permitting, I usually stream Thursdays through Sundays, but since we didn't have a stream yesterday and the day before yesterday, the intention I have is to stream today, tomorrow and on Monday too. And indeed, Mrs. Professor, headaches are the worst. Now I am quite sensitive to getting headaches, have been all my life, blessed with good genes for getting headaches. Eat too little, sleep too long, be too late with having coffee. So you have to nip it in the bud whenever you feel it coming up. And no, Frank, the headache is not coming from Heineken's disease. I'm on a diet, remember. It's probably from not having eaten and having been to the gym yesterday. So I think I'm a bit more depleted of calories than normally would be the case. That's also the reason why today's stream is going to be short, because I am going to call it quits after the A380 has landed. Otherwise, when taking down the equipment, going back to the car, driving home, and then having my first meal of the day would be too late otherwise. After this weekend, 2 more weeks, and then, or is it 3? No, I think still 3. Right. Coming up from LAX, KLM flight 604, Boeing 787-10 Dreamliner in the KLM 100 years livery. Her flight time as we speak, 9 hours 42 minutes, and this Dreamliner is 4 years old already. First flight was in June 2019. Is the flex. Now, lest I forget, another big thank you to Jerry, who just now gifted 10 AMS Live memberships. Well, I say just now, but a couple of minutes ago. Was a bit busy still, but thank you so much for that, Jerry. We have so many new members lately, it is insane. Now, I'm still thinking about a new emoji for the time being. We have 2 bird control emojis. The vehicle itself and also the K1, K2, K3, K4 emoji, I think has better readability, but some of you have said that the pickup truck does come out quite well, so I'm leaning towards keeping the Raptor Ranger and then replacing the K1 through K4 with another one. I was already looking into a crow, a Russell emoji, but it's quite difficult to get out all the details when you have such a small it's such a small size, the emoji, so any detail that you might have does get lost quite quickly. Alan is informing us that Choc-y is entering the glide slope. That's good news. One of Choc-y's colleagues is approaching right now. German Airways flying for KLM as KLM flight 1060 Embraer 190 arriving from Cardiff. Flight time an hour. 15-year-old airplane, first flight January 2008. And if I have a moment, I will also update the ticker because it does seem like the sensor has closed again. Thus I'm also curious to see what the weather has been doing on the METAR at least. Embraer 190 happy hour. Although number 3 at 7 o'clock of number 2 is an A330-200 from Turkish. Let's at least try to copy paste the latest METAR. Into the ticker. Now we'll update the runway usage in a minute. Alright, now let's have a look at the runway usage. Okay, so runway usage has not changed significantly. Still 2 runways used for departures. Got still Polderbaan for arrivals, and that has now become the only runway used for arrivals, so I will update that in a minute. First, let's have another look at the 2 airplanes arriving. Coming up next is Choc-y, the lijstje for chocolaterie. Special livery Embraer 190 from German Airways flying for KLM, arriving from Basel. Flying today as KLM flight 1986. Flight time 59 minutes. 15-year-old airplane. First flight January 2008. Just as old as the PH-BVA, the KLM Orange Pride 777. Chocolate. Yummy, yummy in your tummy. And some cake as the icing on the cake. Echoes, I think it was indeed the King coming in from South Africa, the PH-GOV that we saw land on center earlier. Absolutely a possibility. Chocolate butt shot, indeed, but also coming in, Turkish. How about them sausages? 5 minutes Turkish. 5 minutes, but it was 2 minutes 5 minutes ago. This is Turkish flight 6369, Turkish cargo, arriving from Istanbul, A330-200. Indeed, it is my pedigree chum, Paul. Excellent movie. Still rewatch it regularly. All passages I know by heart. But I'm also a big fan of The Gentleman, I have to say. Hugh Grant in that film, exquisite. He plays the role really well. Right, so runway usage, we can get rid of the 18C in the ticker, keep it at 18, right, now, up next, 737-700, KLM flight 1820 arriving from Berlin. Flight time 57 minutes, now touching down, and the airplane is 13 years old. First flight November 2009. I actually saw that online you could get some of those tracksuits that coach and those guys he was training in the film, The Gentleman, were wearing. Thought, really had a good think about it. Should I buy one of them just to go to the gym? But I think it is a bit overkill. Would be nice for a costume party or something, but do like the look of it. Next up, 737-800 arriving from Paris, Charles de Gaulle, KLM flight 1228. Flight time 43 minutes, so that is nominal. The airplane is 23 years old. First flight April 2000. Got another Dreamliner 10 in the pipeline. It looks like number 2. Number 3 if you count in this airplane as well. Evan, top of the morning to you, buddy. It's getting ever lighter, as you guys can see. The openness is slowly but surely coming over here. Of course, being carried by the southerly wind, which you are picking up on the mic and are also seeing in the water. Chimney smoke, also good indication. And what is going on over there? The leap hare is digging. Digging its way to China. Right, 2 airplanes in the field of view. Number 1 is EasyJet A319 arriving from Copenhagen. Number 2, 787-10 Dreamliner arriving from Panama City. There is still some moisture on the runway, as you guys can see, but either it's not that much anymore, or the airplanes have not been using their reversers that much, or both. And I think option 3 is the most likely. Now I spy with my little eye on flight radar a Delta A330 that is also coming this way. Just turned on the downwind leg before the coast, still west of the coast. Next up is KLM flight 758, 787-10 Dreamliner arriving from Panama City. Has been flying now for 9 hours and 37 minutes. 3 years old, first flight January 2020. And congratulations to Miss Wolves 13 for celebrating 3 months of membership. And she writes, love being part of this aviation family. Well, I'm very happy to have you on board, Miss Wolves, and thank you so much for your continued support. Here's to another 3 months and hopefully more. The Delta A330, of course, has the potential to generate spray because they do apply reverse thrust more regularly than KLM pilots seem to be doing. Of course, when an A330 does that, not only does it produce spray, but also an immense amount of noise. So, fingers crossed. It really stands out how redundant reverse thrust levers on KLM airplanes seem to be. Now, look at this, more blue sky. It is an amazing discovery. Alrighty. Now, Jin also celebrating a milestone in membership, 4 months for Jin Cathay Spotter. Thank you for your amazing live stream every time, he writes. Thank you so much, Jin, for your continued support. And also thank you very much for being a moderator, an esteemed moderator on the channel. Of course, all the moderators, a big thank you for all your services. You guys are also a major part of what makes the channel a nice place to hang out in. So a big thank you to you all. And Jin, thank you for your continued support. Here's to another 4 months. Air China 747 freighter confirmed to this runway, Marissa is saying. That is good news. That is very good news. Vueling A320 arriving from Barcelona. Looks even like the sun is directly shining on it, but I think that's an optical illusion, or maybe just my imagination. Right, 737-800 arriving from Bergen, KLM flight 1186 is up next. Over there. Now, don't see anything behind it just yet. There should be, oh wait, yeah, top left, I do see it now. Embraer 175, and behind the Embraer, oh yeah, number 3 also already visible at 8 to 9 o'clock. Number 2, the Delta A330, making its way over here. KLM flight 1186 arriving from Bergen. 23 years old, this lady. I've got a hunch that there is a butt shot coming in. Lovely. Will we see? Yeah, the spoilers go down. Will the flaps retract? I think they are doing that. Yeah, nice. Aphrodite is saying that the sun is already shining in Brabant in the south. And as you guys can see, it is also trying to do that over here. Will be a matter of time before the sun will come out as the victor. And there is the A330. But before the A330 is going to land, and now the sun is starting to shine momentarily. Embraer 175, KLM flight 1050 arriving from Bristol. Will be preceding the A330. Flight time 55 minutes. 5-year-old airplane. Oh, and look at how nice the grass is illuminated by the sun. And now the airplane itself as well. Okay, so up next is the A330 from Delta. Let's see. Let's see how it's going to do in the spray department. Behind it is KLM flight 622. It is KLM flight 622 arriving from Atlanta, Georgia. That is a 777-300 ER. So we got 2 back-to-back heavies. Spray potential, noise potential. Although the latter is from KLM, so the triple will probably make a very subdued landing, very subtle. Lane is informing us that the first of the 2 queens expected before the A380, the Air China cargo, is expected in around 14 minutes from now. Now Marissa already mentioned that it is going to land on this runway, so that is nice because I'm not too sure about the second 747 and the A380. Now, of course, last week we got very lucky. We got to see it land and take off the A380 on the Polderbaan in one stream. That was very exceptional. I have no reason to believe that it isn't back to standard practice today. Almost thought it wouldn't apply reverse thrust at all, but better late than never, I suppose. Alrighty. Next up, KLM flight 622, arriving from Atlanta, Georgia, 777-300ER, the PH-GOV. So one later registration than the Orange Pride, the PH-GOV, both 15 years old, although this one was delivered in March and the PH-GOV in January 2008. Right behind this 737-800s. But first, let's look and listen. Very subdued, just as I thought it would be. Hey! Alrighty, next up two 737s, one from Transavia and the other is from Transavia. Let's see, where are they? There they are. The first 737-800 is arriving from Ibiza and the second is arriving from Corfu. Okay, Transavia flight 5672 arriving from Ibiza is up first. Flight time has been 2 hours and 6 minutes as we speak. 9 years old, first flight February 2014. Zooming out a little bit further, you can see the patches of blue sky. The zoomed in picture might be a bit negatively biased. It is actually opening up. Of course, in this point of view, you only get to see the darkness that has already passed. The sun is starting to shine again over here. Probably not for a long time, but that's okay. You can feel the warmth immediately. Nice and welcoming. Next up is Transavia 50... No, I'm clicking on the wrong airplane. Where... Hey... Is my flight radar freezing up? That is odd. Unable to connect to server. Try again. Hey... Okay, there it is again. Okay, momentary glitch seems to have resolved. For a moment, no connection to the server, but back online. Transavia flight 5312 arriving from Corfu. 2 hours and 24 minutes of flight time and now touching down back in the Netherlands. Right, Alan is reporting having the same issue Well, for me now over here it seems to have resolved, so it was just a few seconds. Now it seems to be working fine once again. Alrighty, let's see what is up next. More 737-800s. KLM in between the Transavias arriving from Milan and another Transavia arriving from Barcelona. After that we are going to see Aer Lingus arriving from Dublin, A320. Can we see that leather airplane already? Let me crouch down. Doesn't seem like we can see it already. That's a bit of a shame. Right, well, I do see that there is a 777 entering. Well, it's flying base, will be entering on the glide slope shortly. Maybe after this airplane has landed we can pick it up. So this is KLM flight 1620 arriving from Milan. Boeing 737-800. Flight time has been 1 hour and 19 minutes and the airplane relatively young, 3 years old. First flight December 2019. Unfortunately, still no ducks, no coots, nothing in the water. They do still have those nets for, what was it, crayfish or something? I'm not sure. Officer Rudolph told me it was for eel, fishing for eel. Now, sugar beets also nicely stacked, ready to be transported to the refining factory. Oh, and now flight radar is doing a hiccup once again. Unable to reload. That is annoying. And again, flight radar server is not responding, unable to connect to server. Let's try that again. Still nothing. Okay, well. Steering blind here, don't have flight radar to aid me in letting you know what is going on right now. If it's not YouTube disconnecting while being live, it is flight radar throwing a curveball. Still a big red pop-up. Server not responding, unable to connect. Let's try that again. Now it seems to have reconnected again for the time being. Let's hope it's going to stay that way. They are a bit unstable, it seems like. Now. Thank you so much, Fred, for your super chat. And Fred writes, great camera work, boy. For that you get a tip, LOL. Thank you so much for that, Fred. Appreciate it. I do the best I can. I am not happy with the camera work under windy conditions. Even though I have fully secured my tripod with tent wires, it is firmly secured to the ground. Even with image stabilizer enabled, I think the surface area of my camera, mic and phone are too big for smooth following, at least with this tripod. So maybe maybe I will have to update. Then it's going to become expensive really quickly. like a 4-figure investment, which will be a multitude of the camera itself actually then. Plus I'm not sure if it is going to perform better. Aer Lingus arriving from Dublin. Let's quickly turn back. We have a 777 arriving from Lima in Peru. Up next, KLM flight 744. Flight time 11 hours and 41 minutes. Nearly half a day underway. The airplane is 10 years old. First flight May 2013. The next airplane in the top left is LOT. Polish Airlines. Embraer 175 arriving from Warsaw, and I'm already zooming out a little bit. Yes! The first Queen is approaching. Won't be long. Very curious what it will do in terms of spray production. It is Air China Cargo. Now the Chinese do have a way of using the reverse thrust under heavy, so cautiously optimistic. I think it's 2 more airplanes that are preceding the 747. Let's have a look. So which one is first? Right, LOT is over there. That is number 2, the Vueling A320, and all the way over there is the 747. So there are the 3 airplanes coming up next. In the foreground we have LOT, Polish Airlines, flight 263, Embraer 175, arriving from Warsaw. Flight time has been 1 hour and 40 minutes thus far, and the airplane is 11 years old. First flight January 2012. A big thank you to Josephine for her super chat saying, "For the great work and smiles you bring." Well, thank you so much for that, Josephine. I'm really happy that I deliver smiles to you and to hopefully other people as well. I will do my utmost best to continue doing that. Hey Veerle, goedemiddag. Doing well, thank you for asking. Hope the same goes for you, Veerle. We had to wait a little bit. Went out early, arrived on the scene, was already setting up. Was almost, well, I was already set up, but then it started raining. Had another look at the weather radar, and I thought, oh, this is not something I'm going to be able to stick weather out with just the umbrella. So I took the camera down, set up the umbrellas to cover everything, but it paid off. Beautiful weather since, albeit a bit windy. Alrighty. Now she's coming ever closer. Her Majesty the Queen, Queen 1 of 2. And in the meantime, a big thank you to Jerry for once again donating a super chat. And Jerry writes, the nets in the moat are to deter Liechtenstein special forces from attacking AMS. Liechtenstein Navy forces, huh? Special forces. And we all know Liechtenstein has the best navy in all of Europe. Although I wouldn't be surprised if they did have some special forces. Not sure actually. Now, in the meantime, I'm also getting a notification from PayPal, which informs me of a PayPal donation that I just received from Evan. Evan, thank you so much for that, buddy. Very much appreciated. Thank you so much. And this is a bit of an atypical Vueling airplane, nearly all white, only the logo is on it and the registration. Arrived from Alicante, but it is now quickly time to turn around for Her Majesty the Queen. Arriving from Chengdu, China, it is Air China Cargo Flight 1001, Boeing 747-400. And the airplane has been flying now for 9 hours and 54 minutes. She is 17 years old. First flight was in December 2005. Also have a good look at the flap. What are the names again? Flap fairings. It was from Air China Cargo that we saw one that was loose and was dangling quite substantially on landing. Well, no loose flap fairings, but also no wheelies, no substantial spray. A bit unfortunate. Look at the beautiful lighting, the Dutch cloudy backdrop, beautiful. Now let me see, right. I was a little distracted because I saw that my phone was not charging, but the charging cable was not fully attached. And Lena, thank you so much for becoming a member just now. Welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge. You now have access to all the special emojis that are available to members. I think there are 25 already these days. We've grown substantial amounts of new members over the last couple of weeks. It has been insane. Transavia flight 6224 arriving from Malaga is this. And you can see the departures taking place from runway 18 left. The plan is to stick around until the A380 has landed. It is very likely going to land on the center runway. For now, let's have a look. Current runway usage according to air traffic control. As you guys can see, still Polderbaan, where we are at, is the only runway used for arrivals. We've got Kaagbaan and Aalsmeerbaan, runway 18 left, that are now being used for departures. Very soon I am expecting that the center runway will also open up as a secondary runway. But then again, no, let's not jump to conclusions. It is very often happening shortly before the A380 is arriving, so we'll probably see traffic going to center in the next minutes or so. Several people are also mentioning that the special livery 100 years independence pencil is coming in from Icelandair, and I think I do see it already on flight radar. Beautiful lighting, beautiful. Her Majesty still on her way back to the main platform area. If you are new to the channel and you're unfamiliar with the layout of Schiphol Airport, well, you just saw the map already. We are at the far end northwest. The main platform area is still a 10 to 15 minute taxi away from over here. They have to go around the tower that is dedicated for traffic into and out of this runway, along the line of trees, all the way back to the main platform area. You can see an airplane over there that is now on the main platform area. You can see the airplanes in the distance. The main ATC control tower is over there, but because this runway is so far away, it has its dedicated ATC control tower plus a dedicated fire station. Now the Air China Cargo still has a bit to go, because the cargo platform of Schiphol Airport is on both sides of the Kaagbaan, which is runway 0624. That's on the south side of the main platform area. So Her Majesty is still 10 to 15 more minutes underway as it is already. This is KLM flight 1904 arriving from Hanover. Embraer 175. And the slots are open. We're open. And indeed, from Polderbaan, so far away, it has its own zip code, and it differs from Schiphol. Alrighty, got some interesting planes coming up. Number 2 is a special livery pencil, or 757-300 from Icelandair, which is over there, and behind it we have a 777 coming in. Beautiful glide slope shot. In the foreground we have KLM flight 1486, Embraer 175 arriving from Humberside. Flight time has been 47 minutes so far, as we are having a momentary gust of wind over here. Now Frank, I totally agree that Polderbaan should have its own Burger King. That would be very welcoming, although they do have a fish and chips car that is present most of the time. I saw it earlier this week as well. Well, earlier this week, when did I last stream? I think it was on Monday. So even in this time of year, and I was surprised by it. It arrived on the parking lot just as I was about to go walk over here. So around noon. Right, Icelandair flight 500 up next in the 100 years independence special livery. 757-300, don't get to see them very often anymore, but Icelandair still regularly flies them to Amsterdam. Flight time has been 3 hours and 3 minutes. The airplane is 23 years old and her first flight was in February 2000. Icelandic butt shot is coming in, ladies and gentlemen. Be ready for it. Boom. Right, now. No time to linger too long. Got a 777-200 up next, arriving from Ecuador, Guayaquil. KLM flight 755. Let's turn back. And have a look. There it is. Now from Ecuador to Amsterdam has taken this airplane thus far 11 hours and 10 minutes. She's 19 years old, first flight March 2004. Indeed, a very petite and slim behind, Marissa. Supermodel style, 90s supermodel style. Now, let's have a look. Pinching out. The Atlas Air 747 just crossed marker mirror. But I am assuming it is going to land on center, or am I mistaken? Of course I hope I am. Now, I think even if it had applied reverse thrust, there wasn't any much more spray to throw up. I think the combination of the wind and the sun have evaporated most of it. Okay, thanks for the update, Marissa. The A380 is confirmed for 18C. But the Atlas? How about the Atlas? The 747? That is still a bit ahead of the A380. Atlas confirmed for 1-8 ride. Thank you, Marissa. So 2 747s coming to the Polderbaan today. The only thing we aren't going to see is the A380, or at least up close, but we can see it quite well from over here. My camera has decent zoom. The first airplane to arrive is KLM flight 1870, arriving from Stuttgart, Embraer 190, flight time 59 minutes as we speak. The number 2 in the top left is arriving from Rome, KLM flight, a Boeing 737-800. Alright, so we are lucky indeed, as Marissa has been writing. The airplane immediately behind it has been assigned to center, so Atlas, the last of the airplanes arriving from the east, being assigned to Polderbaan, 18 right. Jerry sees many queens in San Francisco, he writes. Yeah, there are also a few walking the streets of Amsterdam. And we also have one in a palace tucked away in the center of the country. No, wait, that's a former queen. Converted back to a princess. Ah yes, you mentioned that, Jerry. With your... Was it with your father or with your grandfather that you went there? I remember you mentioning it before. Next up is KLM flight 1598, Boeing 737-800, arriving from Rome. Flight time an hour and 49 minutes. 16-year-old airplane, had its first flight in February of the year 2007. It's getting bright over here, reflections of sunshine in the water. Still only a few gaps between the clouds here and there. It is still mostly overcast, as you guys can see. Looking to the east, looking back to the north. Now there's also a BizJet landing on the Oostbaan. I'm looking to my right to see if I can pick it up, but I don't see it just yet, so let's leave it for what it is. This is Vueling, flight 8353, 8353, A320, arriving from Valencia. Flight time 2 hours and 11 minutes, also nominal, par for the course. 5 years old, first flight February 2018. And we have another airplane from Icelandair following it. We've seen this happen so often now that I think it is a regular schedule of them to fly 2 airplanes from Reykjavik to Amsterdam. Now the first one was a beautiful classic 757. The next one is not so special in that respect. In the new livery, it is a MAX 8, flight 506. Oh, well, that's interesting. The flight time was 15 minutes longer for the 757 than it was has been for the MAX 8 so far. 2 hours and 47 minutes, 5-year-old airplane. First flight August 2018. Of course, I think most of you are looking at that other airplane in the top left corner. The second Queen coming this way. Atlas Air. So let's have a quick look at the landing, see that it has touched down safely, and then let's move back to the Queen. Right. Nothing out of the ordinary. There we go. Arriving from Almaty, Atlas Air Flight 564, 747-400 freighter. And Her Majesty has been on the way now for 7 hours and 12 minutes. And this airplane is 25 years old. This month it turned 25. First flight was in October 1998. So congratulations. A quarter of a century old, this airplane. 1998, I think I was in 4th grade in high school then. What were you guys doing back then? Also, if you haven't liked the stream already, but you do like the content so far, make sure to drop a like. If you haven't done so, consider subscribing, hit the bell icon if you want to stay updated of when I'm going live in the future. Next stream is likely going to be tomorrow, weather permitting, and on Monday I have another one planned. Gracefully floating towards the runway threshold. Let's look and listen. Oh! Baby, that's what I'm talking about. Terrific. Happy to see that there was still enough moisture to generate decent spray. Happy that these pilots made use of it. Indeed, Aeolus Capital. I think the answer is yes. Runway has been dried up. What a terrific landing that was. Right, so we still have the A380 coming up. It won't land on this runway, unfortunately, but we will be able to see it quite well from over here. Has the center runway opened up in the meantime? Officially, let's have a look. Air traffic control, Netherlands. What does it look like? Well, according to air traffic control, officially still Polderbaan the only runway open for arrivals, but very soon that will change. We'll see. As we say our goodbyes to the second and last queen of this show, I am going to wrap up after the A380 has landed. So it's a bit of a shorter stream than normal. We had a weather delay, started late. But it was definitely worth it. In the meantime, you can see that the sun is beginning to shine a bit more, even though it is still mostly cloudy. Got an EasyJet A320 arriving from Geneva. And I also saw that the A380 was already nearly over the marker mirror, or maybe it was in the meantime. Right, the A380 will be turning final in a moment. Let's see how far ahead we can see. So we have two airplanes visible on our glide slope, and the A380 is still further to the north. Can we see the A330? Is that? Yeah, I think that is the A330. Well, next to it should be the A380. So what I'm going to do is carefully pan to the right and see if we can maybe pick it up already. It is, of course, a flat apartment building with wings. I think I have already passed the point where we should normally... Wait a minute. No. Let's go back. Maybe I needed to be a bit higher. I think the clouds are still in the way, but that's okay. Yeah. Wait a minute. Right, so A380 not yet visible. Well, wait. It soon will be. Top Air Portugal, arriving from Lisbon. Oh, and we are also going to be seeing China Eastern Airlines 777 passing over. Taken off back to Shanghai. Or is it already in the clouds? I saw it just now. I did see it just now, but I think it is already above the clouds again. Right. I have the A380 in sight. A380 is visible, has become visible out of the clouds in the meantime. And that triple, you might pick it up on the mic. 777-200 China Eastern going back to Shanghai. Right, well, parallel landing is the daily Emirates A380, and on this side we have a Delta A330 arriving from Seattle. Right, it is Emirates flight 147, the daily flight between Dubai and Amsterdam, Airbus A380. It's the A330 that is landing on this runway parallel to it. Flight time 6 hours 23 minutes, so that is par for the course, nominal. Always around 6.5 hours at this point. The airplane is 11 years old. First flight was in April 2012. Standard livery, old standard livery. Our members have access to the latest iteration of the standard livery with the ribbon tail. As you guys can see, being used enthusiastically in the chat. Meanwhile, a Delta A330-300 is landing. Right. She has touched down safely on runway center, as you guys can see. And here, hopefully. Hope the mic picks up the reversers. I'm hearing them over here. Pretty sure you can also hear it. Right, now the reversers have wound down. Right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the last airplane of the day. Bit shorter stream than normal, but if we hadn't had the rain, it would have been a normal length stream. Unfortunately, the weather took care of business and we had to wait until 11 to go live. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I have. It was definitely worth sticking around for, in my opinion. If you haven't done so already, make sure to drop a like before going out. And if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing if you haven't done so. Make sure to hit the bell icon when you do, so that you get notified whenever I go live. Speaking about going live again, the plan is to go out again tomorrow, weather permitting. My favorite time of day is the morning. And I hope that the weather will allow me to do so. Otherwise, I will try to go out later in the day. But I think in terms of weather, but I'm saying it very carefully, tomorrow and particularly Monday should be good. So the next 2 days, 2 more streams coming up if all is well. For now, a big thank you to all of you for joining me here today. Enjoy the rest of your day. A big thank you to all of you who were so kind to donate super stickers or super chats or PayPal, or maybe buy something from the merch store. Your support means everything to me, and the channel wouldn't be anything without you guys. A big thank you once again to all the moderators as well for keeping the chat friendly as always. Folks, thanks. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care, enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and see you hopefully tomorrow. Bye for now.